part is when I was asking Dad how he got into the carnival business.
I'm going to talk about how I happened to get into the carnival business and how I happened to get in the concession business. Every year in Moline, Illinois, when I was a punk of a kid, about 12, 13 years old, my folks had a monopoly or a franchise on concession in Prospect Park, and they operated the hamburger joint, and they made hamburgers and weenies, and they had lemonade. They had a great big tub, and they mixed the lemonade in, and they fried the hamburgers on a griddle, and I think we sold them for a nickel, hamburgers and drinks a nickel. And we had a great big watering trough, it was a horse trough, full of ice, and we had props. And my folks used to make a lot of money out there every 4th of July. We started real early in the morning, and they had fireworks at night, and we just really dished it out, and they did, rather. And that's one thing that intrigued me about frying burgers and running a burger joint. So then later on in life, why me and Floyd, we went, my brother, we went on the fairgrounds. And first time we drove out to a fairground, we had an old team of horses and a wagon. Can you imagine that, way back that far? And we went to this Galena, Illinois. And then we went from Galena into Darlington. And we made a regular circuit of them, driving this team, and had all our paraphernalia, tent and concession and the griddle and the tubs and everything. And we went out on fairgrounds, and we done that for a couple of years and repeated. And then we discovered another joint that we could make real good money, and we run a donut and coffee joint. And we had a great big kettle of grease, and we fried the donuts. And we could get a cup of coffee and 2 donuts for a dime. Can you imagine that, way back yonder? And that's when I was only about, well, folks are still living there. And then when I come back in off the road, me and Floyd, we never went out again, but we couldn't realize. Well, what happened, there was a carnival come to town, you see, and well, me and my brother, we used to go out and make some fairs on the fairground. We'd take a hamburger joint. Now, way back yonder in my young life and his life, he wasn't married, and of course I hadn't even given a thought. I was a punk of a kid, and I thought, gosh almighty, there's opportunities galore out there, and I'm going to have to dig into it and see what all I can find out about it. So Floyd and I we wasn't really too close to each other, but we got along, and of course she kind of outshined me a little bit in different ways, but I never really thought much about it, and I didn't let it bother me a whole lot. So anyway, we made the fairs and sold hamburgers dime and cold drinks for a nickel, and man, we thought we was really going to town. But after all, today, what could you buy for a nickel? We've even sold hamburgers for a nickel, you know. Sometimes we'd run a little short of hamburger, then we'd put some dry bread in it and a little strawberry coloring. We was a little bit crooked on them things, but we mixed it up in the hamburger and made red hamburger out of it, bread and bread, you know. Mixed onions in there, and the people never knowed about it, and they loved it. Well, after Mother died, why, Floyd, he went around the country, and he didn't dare to do anything that was going to soil his hands or where he was going to break his back. In fact, he was a waiter in cafes, mostly waited on tables so he could get more tips. I guess that was his angle, I don't know. But anyway, he was a bellhop in hotels too. So he met Florence Ostergrant, his wife, and he stayed with her all throughout life. He only had 1 kid. I beat him on that deal. I should beat him. I don't know. I haven't heard from him in years. Because he kind of gave me a push in the face and told me I better get back with my family. I guess maybe he thought maybe I was going to be a freeloader on him. I don't know what he thought. But I got out, got big official. I got with Barnum and Bailey, and then I got with Ringling Brothers. And I was with the Big Show when just had quit a year before the Big Top burned up in '54 and burned all them people. But it was a real sweetheart of a life. I'm going to write a book out of this, and I want to put the things in there that are meaningful and that people would enjoy, and to show how the impossible can be accomplished, you know. and how you can actually go in life if you set a goal and if you think positive. I've never done quite all of that in my life, but I'm coming into it more and more each day as I live.
On the barroom floor.
We're going to go into the face on the barroom floor. Perhaps a lot of you folks have heard it. It was a balmy summer's evening, and a goodly crowd was there, which well nigh filled Joe's barroom on the corner of the square. As the songs and witty stories came through the open door, a vagabond crept slowly in and posed upon the floor. Where did he come from, someone said. Why, the wind has blown him in. What does he want, another cried. Some whiskey, rum, or gin. Here, Toby, sick him. If your stomach's equal to the work, I wouldn't touch him with a fork. Why, he's filthy as a Turk. This badinage the poor wretch took with stoical good grace. In fact, he smiled as if he thought he'd struck the proper place. Give me a drink, that's what I want. I'm out of funds, you know. When I had cash to treat the gang, this hand was never slow. What, you laugh as if you thought this pocket never held a sou. I once as fixed as well, my boys, as any one of you. There, thanks, that's braced me nicely. God bless you one and all. Next time I pass this good saloon, I'll make another call. You've treated me pretty kindly, and I'd like to tell you how I've become the dirty sot you see before you now. As once I told you, I was a man with muscle, frame, and health, and but for a blunder, should have added considerable to my wealth. I was a painter, not one that daubs on brick and wood, but an artist, and for my age was rated pretty good. I worked hard at my canvas and was bidden fair to rise, for gradually the star of fame I saw before my eyes. I painted a picture, perhaps you've seen. 'Tis called The Chase of Fame. It brought me 1,500 pounds and added to my name. And then I met a woman, now comes the funny part, that petrified my brain and sunk into my heart. Boys, have you ever seen a woman for whom your soul you'd give, with a form like a mile of Venus, too beautiful to live, with eyes that would beat the Kohinoor, and a wealth of chestnut hair? If so, 'twas she, for there never was another half so sweet and fair. I was working on a portrait one afternoon in May of a fair-haired boy, a friend of mine who lived across the way. And Madeline admired it, and much to my surprise, said she'd like to meet that man that had such dreamy eyes. Well, it didn't take long to know him, and before the month had flown, he had stole my darling, and I was left alone. And ere a year of misery had passed above my head, till the treasure I had loved so had tarnished and was dead. That's why I took to drink, boys, why I never saw you smile. I thought you'd be amused and laughing all the while. Well, what's the matter, friend? There's a teardrop in your eye. Come, laugh like me, 'tis only babes and women that should cry. Give me another drink, and I'll tell you what I'll do. You shall see the Madeline upon the barroom floor. Give me the piece of chalk with which you marked the baseball score. And I'll draw here before you a picture on the floor. Another drink, and chalk in hand, the vagabond began to sketch the face that well might buy the soul of any man. And as he added another lock upon her shapely head, with a fearful shriek, he leaped and fell across the picture, dead.
I hope you have enjoyed The Life of a Carnie with my dad, Colonel V.W. Bates.